All right, we are still moving along with Genesis chapter 21. This time we're going to finish off that bottom section, verse 22 through 34. And in Genesis chapter 1, we are still in the first book of the Bible, 21st chapter. And we have just seen where Hagar gets her freedom from the family that she was part of with Sarah and Abraham after her and her son Ishmael are sent away, and God provides for them in the desert. And then we see now where Abraham is still continuing on with his journey, his travels, and he is residing in different lands as a stranger for still this portion of his life. And so in verse 22, it starts off with Abimelech and Philcol, which is his commander of his army. So we're in verse 22. And the commander of the army and this King Abimelech go and talk to Abraham. This is the land that they are currently residing in. They had already had an interaction with Abimelech, and he tells them to leave his palace because he came in. Sarah and Abraham said that they were brother and sister, and they were staying there. He was like, Sarah is absolutely adorable. I have to have her, brought her into his house. And all the women became barren in their land until there is a time where God has a dream and reveals to him that Sarah is in his home and she is a married woman. And so he releases them and he says, look, I don't mean anything bad. You don't feel like you gotta lie. You can live on this land. I see that God is blessing you. And here are some items so that everybody understands. Like he gave him some possessions and some wealth to show him like, hey, nothing happened with your wife. She is still good to go. Nobody broke any rules. Nobody did anything that was untoward towards her. And so she is completely vindicated. Like nothing happened. She didn't violate you in any way. Your marriage is still sound. And so, but you're welcome to live on my land for as long as you want to. Be comfortable, be fruitful, just going out, do what you got to do, take care of what you got to take care of is fine. My men that live out in the fields and provide for the animals that are in this kingdom and the wealth that I have are, y'all keep separate, y'all do your own thing, but don't feel like you're required to give them or do anything with them. And so we get to verse 22 and it's just a check-in kind of. They having a quick conversation and he comes and he says, I see that God is with you in everything you do. Your hand is blessed. Everything you touch is blessed. And there's so many great things that come out of you and your family. And I am excited to have you here. And I just want you to tell me if you're being treated well. I want you to let me know if you're running into any issues, if it's any problems out here, and if you're okay, because my goal is to treat you well. So if there's something going on that you feel some type of way about, tell me now. This is a check-in. Let me know that we are doing good. And in verse 24, Abraham was like, yeah, don't worry. Everything is going well, but I'm having a few issues with my wells. So in verse 25, he tells him about a well that was seized by the servants, meaning Abraham had dug a well. This well is in his land and it is good for water. And he is going to bring his animals there. And the servants of Abimelech, or people who are part of his kingdom, who are taking care of like the royal flock, have decided this is our well, it's not yours. I don't care who dug it. This is ours. It's on our land. We're going to use it. And they don't have access to it anymore because of that. And Abimelech was like, hey, I've never heard about this. If there was an issue, you should have brought it to me. I don't know what's going on. So I don't know who to believe here. I don't know who to believe, whose side of the story is accurate, because this is the first time I'm hearing about anything like this. If they had told me that y'all were fighting over a well, we could have done this dealt with it a little differently. And so Abraham takes an offering. He brings sheep and oxen and 7 lambs. He brings him 7 lambs. He said, look, I'm just so that you understand, this is not fabrication. I don't need to make this up. I'm going to put my wealth on it. Let's put some money on this. I'm telling you the truth. This is a promise to me and you that this was a situation. That well that we've been talking about is mine. I dug it and it's mine, and it is a witness. This is my proof. I'm giving you something from me so you know I'm not making this up. If I couldn't afford, like if I was trying to take it because I didn't have enough means, if I was trying to take it because, I needed something, I wanted to own this thing on your land, if it was just a grab, a money grab or a wealth grab, I wouldn't have done this. But I'm giving you something for me to let you know I don't need it. I'm just telling you what it is. And so he says in verse 32, that they made a covenant. And this covenant is that there's not going to be any squabbling. What's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. There's not going to be any fighting, and that you're going to live peacefully in this land. This was a check-in to make sure you're going to be peaceful, and this is a renewal of that covenant, that you can continue to live here peacefully. What you plant is yours to grow. What animals you have out here are yours to raise. What lands you're on is yours to like. Now you don't own it, but you can live here as long as you want to. It's like renting an apartment. As long as you're in this apartment and you take care of it, it's yours. This was a check-in. This was us re-signing the lease. Had to do a little quick inspection of and re-sign the lease. Let me know if you got any issues. That's what this is. And they are reconfirming his time on this land so he can continue to stay there. And it says in verse 33 that Abraham planted trees. Some Bibles say a grove, some Bibles say specific type of trees. But what it is this is a space where he has planted a grove of trees, where he has a quiet spot to commune with the Lord. And it says that he called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. So this is a place where he has kind of set roots. This is a place that he's starting to build out a safe haven for himself, for his family. This is a space that he plans to reside at long term. And this covenant between the two of them was just marking that it was possible to do. This was him going ahead and saying, go ahead, re-sign my lease. I'm going to stay here a little longer. Here's a little issue that I had, and let's work this out, but I'm going to stay here a little longer, and it's going to be okay. And it says that he resided as an alien many days in the land of the Philistines. So the Philistines are not believers of God. They are enemies of God, and he's living in this space because at this time, the lands were just being kind of owned by the people who settled there. So as your family grew, you would have a son that would take his family and move to a different area a little ways away, and that would be new land that is now part of your area. Or you would map out certain space and you would say, this particular land is now my country or my city. And that's how it works. So these lands are kind of still moving and changing and things like that. But the boundaries are moving and changing the lands. And they're like, pick everything up and move and let's go over here. But literally, the boundaries of the land are still growing and increasing. And then it changes based off of wars that are fought and things like that. So you'll see where he is residing in different lands and he's moving around or not moving, but it may be owned by somebody different because the area or the king who was owning this land before is no longer in power. So it is now someone else's land. But the Philistines are enemies of God and are not thinking of anything about God. And he is able to live there. We see them a little bit later in the earlier part of the Bible in the next couple of books that the Philistines are enemies of God and go to war with the people of God. And we'll talk about that when we get to that particular book. But for this was a little short piece, a quick recap. There is a check-in meeting between Abimelech and the commander of his army goes with him. Of course, when you're royalty, you take security with you. So he took the commander of his army with him, and they had a check-in with Abraham. And Abraham assures them, hey, I'm here. I'm planning to stay for a little while. God hasn't told me to move yet. And I want to make sure that we are all good. There's a well we having a little issue over. And so they're just kind of doing that lease renewal meeting right now. Are you staying a little longer? Yeah, you're staying. Okay, that's cool. And are you having any issues with the place? Any maintenance we need to take care of? That's this situation. So this was a check-in. And so Abraham plants these trees, this grove of trees, and it is a marker to show that he is going to sit and stay a while. All right, guys, this was a quick one. I will pick up in Genesis chapter 22. You all be blessed and have a happy educational Black History Month. You guys be great.